Hi, I'm June Hirschberger here in front of our inn, Die Heimat Country Inn. One of the questions that we get asked a lot in our dining room is, what is the difference between the Amana folks and the Amish? And we feel like we can speak to this a little bit because Amish and Mennonites are distant cousins, and Mark and I are Mennonites. We grew up Mennonite and we continue to be Mennonite. So we have learned a lot about the Amana folks in the last 9 years since we've been here. And there's about 4 things that we mention that are different between Amish and Amana folks. Number one, just basic history. Yes, there's a lot of German history and heritage for both, but the Mennonites and Amish are Anabaptists, and they started back in the 1500s. And the Amana folks started in the 1700s, 1714. So they just come from a very different place in time. Probably one of the main things people wonder, so the Amana people were communal, meaning they shared everything. They each had jobs, but everything was for the good of the community. They didn't have their own private wealth. Well, Amish are, I would say, very community-minded, and they're very much into sharing and helping each other out, but they were never communal in that sense. They all had their own private homes and farms and bank accounts, and they didn't pool everything together like the Amana people did. Another really important distinction is pacifism. Pacifism just means that you don't participate in the military, basically. The Amana folks started out that way, but in World War I and even more in World War II, they came under just a lot of pressure to prove their loyalty to the U.S. rather than Germany, since they were German speakers and had such a strong German history. So really today, they are not considered pacifist. But Mennonites and Amish are still very strong pacifists. I remember hearing stories about my ancestors in the early 1900s around World War I. The people, men only at that time, that were drafted to serve, they did not do it, and they were jailed, and they came under a lot of persecution. But out of that grew the conscientious objection status that our government does grant to people who choose to not participate in the military. There is also a provision within our church that if you want to serve your country or people for the common good, there's voluntary service. So that's why Mark and I chose to go to Africa, go to Tanzania in the 90s, 1990 to 97. So that was a volunteer position during that time, and that was our way of giving something to the world and for the good of people. But anyway, just to say that Amish are pacifists, Amana is not. And then I guess another thing would be technology, and that's pretty obvious. It seems like the Amish really stopped back in time, and they do not embrace technology. You'll still see them about 40 miles south of here in Kelowna with their horses farming in the fields, or steel-wheeled tractors, on the horses and buggies, and they dress very distinctively. Well, here in Amana, you're not going to see that. I would say the farm here in Amana is very cutting edge. You see these big equipment, and you have the biogas digester, and to me, they're very forward-thinking. So that would be another difference. And just the simple technology, the Amana people have modern technology, whereas Amish don't have electricity, and some things like that. So those are some of the basic things. I mean, you could go a lot deeper than that in looking at the differences, but those are the main things that we tell our guests are the differences between Amish and Mennonite. So when you're here in Amana, no, not Amish and Mennonite, Amish and Amana. When you're here in Amana, you are not going to see horses and buggies. You are not going to see people dressed distinctively, but you will find a very unique and interesting history, the Amana Community Church.